Good afternoon, listeners. It's me, Suleiman Ben Swara, coming back on Facebook Live. If you just bear me a minute, let's share the video and we can start the program. Just a minute. Struggling here. Good. Just a minute. I'm just trying to do this thing here. Well, for one reason, my phone is very slow. Okay, let me try just to switch off my phone and bring it back on again, and we can start the program. The program would be brief. I'll try to make it brief, and it's a reaction to the statement made by the head of counter-terrorism and legal affairs of the Gambia SIS, or we call it the NIA, the National Secret Services. And it's a very important, that's the reason I'm here, because I am still very busy behind the scenes preparing, trying to fix things up to have a platform to be more effective in impacting our contributions. And that being the case, I'm struggling with time to be available, or I mean these days, but soon we will be there. And finally I'm here. Good. Okay, I'm done now. Yeah, very important. And we have got to a stage in the Gambia that we should be prepared. We should be prepared. And this is a sign of what I have said before the elections, what I have said after the elections. And again, what I say is based on my experience, based on my expertise, based on my passion and interest in that country, following through to what is happening there and analyzing it. And that so far everything I have ever analyzed have come true. Some of them are unfortunate, but the only thing that averts them is our proactiveness, what we do as Gambians to stop it. And let me just give a background of this. We have a state of affairs, or what we call a situation report. A situation here. Now, for any intelligence agency, they have their daily, weekly, monthly, and different sort of situation report. Now, I'll get to the details on why this statement here. But as I said before, this country, the Gambia, is under state capture. As we can all see the evidence now, that is run by the enablers of the dictator. Most people say, oh, is APRC back? Yes, because the enablers are back. That's why I want to dedicate more time. I'll be writing more articles, but I'll come and present these programs for Gambians to be aware. And this time round, in fact, I am going to reveal things I have never revealed before, because we were dealing with those situations behind the scenes. Try to find ways and means to avert where we are heading to. But it's unfortunate, the selfishness nature of many of us have continued to ignore our warning and to yes, we have made a lot of progress. In fact, if it was not for the intervention of a lot of Gambians, we would not have even been here today. But if we need to redouble our efforts, if we want to see the future of that country, we are going very late on this. That's why this time around, I am going to name names. I am going to explain situations, Gambians to see it, so that they can see to point to the evidence, and so that they can understand where we are heading to. I explained the Barrow struggling to form a cabinet. I did explain that. People who follow will get that. But let me just give a brief. The reason he was struggling to form a cabinet, because from the minute Barrow landed in Senegal during the impasse, which was the greatest mistake, the Senegalese took the situation to their advantage. And the people that were willing to work with Senegal, for Senegal to realize their strategic interests, were Gambian citizens who were the same enablers who did enable the dictatorship. It was the same, if you look at the tradition and the background, it's the same people that in fact led us to the dictatorship. By the way, they operated corruptly based on economic interests. But this economic interest would be covered with a lot of divisive mechanisms, especially tribe or regional, as if that's what the interest is. It's not. It's for their interest themselves, the jobs they get or the influence they get, and in turn what they gain economically. That led us to dictatorship. They went there. There were many Gambians, which I was part of, many Gambians in the struggle at different level, but there were many Gambians who were very strategic and realizing the influence of Senegal, realizing that certain things could not be done or achieved or would be very difficult to achieve without a strategic alliance working with Senegal in order to get that country back without bloodshed. You see, so many things could have been done, but for strategic interest, we decided to go through this route, and we choose. I've never subscribed. I have been invited many times on a subversive, that is to change a regime for another group of people to take over. I've never been part of that. I always participated in what can be done to bring about a situation that will use the democratic process in order to determine who governs. That's what I believe in. That's what I believe in. And that's where I've been active, and that's what happened. Unfortunately, when Barrow landed in Senegal, and because most of the politicians were not there, they were in Gambia mostly, the people around Barrow were just opportunists and who were inexperienced. People like my party thinking that they have things in control, they are inexperienced, turning around to say, oh, I fired Hamid Fassala and others, but he's an opportunist. They saw an opportunity to make wealth while they just landed in Senegal. And this what brought Alaji Cisse back into the fold. And I tell you this, Alaji Cisse, Mambure Njai, and so many have been serving the Senegalese strategic interests, have been used by Senegalese intelligence, wittingly and unwittingly. It will take time to explain that bit. What we do as intelligence officers to influence individuals without them even realizing that they are working to our interests, there are many strategies they do. But again, what we do as intelligence officers to approach people who are in strategic positions or to make them vulnerable and to reassure them and guarantee them their safety in order for them to work with us. Russia does that, everybody does that. I'll tell every country does that apart from Gambia because we don't have an intelligence agency. This, I created the business people and every other people, that were part of the Jammeh enablers to gravitate towards Barrow, and Barrow for his greediness for wealth and everything else. It was easy to sell it to him. And that's where, in fact, and I said this, I'll say it again, and with evidence out there, that's where it started that Barrow would disregard the 3 years agreement. It was in Senegal, before Gambia, before anybody else. It was due to these people reassurance and obviously Senegal's strategic interest and Senegal reassurance that it can happen. You see, but we'll get to how it turned out to the way it is. Behind the scenes, politicians were selfish, could not see it, probably inexperienced, most of the case, and we're going to explain all that. That's why I ask people to subscribe on Open Gambia and follow Open Gambia, because we are going to reveal. We are at a level now, some of these things have to be revealed. In order to make Gambians, take the state and to bring about the change. We did reveal some on need-to-know basis. Because we had counterparts, we had to be very strategic in the way we handle things. That's why some of the things never came out in the open. But it was known to a lot of people in strategic positions or influence to try to make them aware and about. And these people have succeeded. We know when they came back in Gambia, and one thing they succeeded was to get the SIS DG. So, to be the DG. Remember, there was someone who was appointed for a few days and removed. And I forgot the name of the person. Someone might know the name of the person. Former NIA police, I think, then NIA, and then made DG. And so was appointed. And that's where the project started. And this project involves Alaji Cisse and others. Then they came, they got their people back. The people who were enablers and people from the diaspora who were not enablers, but who just succumb to what they want because they are just of the same trade. Because some people did not support the IJM because they could not get what they want from the IJM. It's not that they don't like what the IJM was doing. They just don't, or some of them fell out with the IJM. That's why they turned around against the IJM. Now, they manage these things, they manage the situation by manage this APRC and the political aspects of it and the mechanisms that they know with the support of Senegal. In fact, still in the elections, I continue to emphasize these elections were stolen and with the help of Senegal. And I did that, and I did reveal that before the elections. And I point out to it. But did people listen? No. But again, I know why people did not listen. Because that's another mechanism that makes these people influence them. That's another mechanism that makes Senegal to gain what they have. Our division. Division, they make us to believe that we are divided along tribal lines, we are divided along regional lines. This is a very effective. That's why anything comes up, all the government have to do is to point to tribal angle. Or is Ben Suare, he's this. Or is this person is that. Or is that person belongs to that party or sympathize with that party. No. What Ben Suare is saying, that's what should be the content. Challenge that. Say that it's false. Can you bring it? No. It has never been proven. Now, they manage that because we are divided. or they can easily divide us on political grounds. As I say political grounds, because if you go to our naming ceremonies, our marriages, look at our marriages, look at our anything else, we are not divided along those lines. If you look at that, why you say class, who can afford this or who cannot. But when it comes to it, we come as family and support each other and do it. But when it comes to politics, we see tribe. When it comes to politics, we see region and others. But we all know that these people don't represent their tribes' interests. Yes, if you say there's nepotism, yes. If you say there's the when you look from the outside, it looks like tribe. Because why it's not tribe? Because there's no individual Gambian, regardless of tribe you belong, that can come out to benefit your tribe alone. Because there's no Gambian that belongs to one tribe. There's no policy that can be generated by any government that supports one tribe. No. And if you look at the composition of every mafia in the Gambia or any interest group in the Gambia, you'll find people from different backgrounds. And then it's not tribe, it's more of nepotism. Yes, but the outlook, again, because of the insensitive and stupidness of some of these people, what they do is you can see tribe in it because of the surnames that appears and so on. But if you understand what goes on, you understand actually, no, it's an interest group. Probably the people, benefiting more from this, in fact, they don't belong to that tribe that you think are running the show. Now, they managed to do that, and it comes to a head-on, because when they did, how they did this, they have an alliance of different people to rob the elections, and we went on a divisive campaign and everything else, and many people gave money from the private sector, individuals to them to win. Now they have won. Now this group, this interest group who are hijacking the government now, so, and you see, that's why it looks like a fuller, I'll say it looks like a fuller hegemony, but it's not. It's a nepotism. Because we'll get to that bit sometime today or tomorrow, another day. I don't want to derail on that, but I know it looks like a fuller hegemony. Now, they now achieved what they needed. Now they have to continue to entrench themselves. Now this is the time to entrench themselves. Before, it started as a coalition government dominated by UDP. Now they had to go in to try to get UDP on board completely to accept Barrow. If they refuse to accept Barrow, then they will push back on the UDP, try to fracture the UDP, try to take as much as possible from the UDP, and then get all the other alliances and go after the UDP. Now to make it a UDP and NPP entity, but not in fact in politics, they'll make it out of tribe. Now all that UDP and NPP represent all the other tribes, and UDP would represent one tribe. That was the strategy. And anybody else associated with UDP will be seen as troublemaker and whatever it is, because if they cannot label you as tribal because you don't belong to that tribe, they associate the UDP of being Mandinka. This is the way they're going to do it. We've seen how they break the trees judgment. The violence they use, the mechanisms, everything that the dictatorship does, everything they did was what the dictatorship does. And I keep on telling Gambians, if you think that you can say, oh, yes, Barrow might only be better than Jammeh because of his human rights records, is a lie. Because you must be very naive. And Gambians have to be ready for what comes to them. Every government, Jammeh did not just get up and to be brutal. He was challenged. He was challenged. And you can see his brutality on people who really challenge him. We go on. Now, they manage all this divisiveness and everything else. Now, they have to set off. Now, they have to bring in more of their APRC and willing enablers. Now, you see, we have the former APRC, but look at the other people that joined the wagon. The people who were known. You know, some of these people are enablers, but they never had important positions or never known. They were in the diaspora. They never associated with the struggle or anything against Jammeh. Or if they might even be in the struggle and this in Jammeh, but because of they did not have the opportunity to get to Jammeh's camp, they've been thrown out by Jammeh's camp. These are the people they're comfortable with. And I say it here. Yes, I am blacklisted. I know that from the beginning, from Senegal. From Senegal, I knew I was blacklisted by the Senegalese intelligence because I work with them, I know them in depth, and I did not work with them during Jammeh time in the First Republic. I worked as an intelligence operative to protect our national interests. I know them, I know how they operate. That's why when I needed them, I know where to pick it up. And even tomorrow, if I need them, I know where to pick it up. But they were blacklisted because they knew I and other people I associate with will never. They tried it. I'm not going to tell you exactly what they tried. I'm going to say that one day as a need-to-know basis. Especially it was, I received the what you call it, the plan or the operation or whatever they needed in the time of Jammeh, 2015. 2016, sorry, I refused. I said no. It's not going to happen. It's not to our long-term strategic interest. Yeah, we want the Jammeh to go, but we want to preserve that country. And yes, let me put this clearly. I am a believer of the Senegambia construct. I want to see a future Senegambia, but where we are treated as equals, not subordinates. We are a sovereign country, regardless of our size. We have the exact rights as any other country. It's how we manage ourselves, govern ourselves to make sure we leverage that sovereign identity in order to be treated as equals. That's for us to do. But I am Pan-Africanist. I believe in the Senegambia construct. As I believe that in the Senegambia construct, we can naturally, organically, naturally evolved into what we call the African, Union, or what we call the integration of West African states, or whatever you call it. But if we cannot achieve that as Senegambia, that cannot be achieved anywhere in Africa, because there's no two countries as we are in Africa. I am true believer of that. I am true believer of our economic prosperity and sustainability to be within a cooperation of two states. I believe all that. But one thing I will not take is, and that will be over my dead body, to be subservient or to any authority, or especially to another state, against my own. If it was for positions, if it was for wealth, we have it today. We applied our expertise here into all the, and the day that the day some of us will tell you what we have been involved in, you'll be surprised that Gambians have the ability to do those things. And we could have been wealthy to continue doing that. But it is repulsive that we will engage in that because we are not economic junglers. We believe in something. Now, they managed to do that. They managed to win the elections. Now it's to continue entering them. And now they have to get their people in. Now Barrow was struggling to do this. And these people are very smart. And people who follow, again, as I said, go and look at the videos. Go and look at the videos. I said this to select the vice president. What they did again, so with these SIS guys. Because one thing is, Barrow is so much into greed, money, and because of his ability, he have to trust these people that, look, we have the know-how. And Senegal assure him, yeah, we can work with these people, they have the know-how, we support them strategically for you to get what you want. And I decision, so and others. Now he just have to relax and sleep, and it goes on drive. When this thing happened, Barrow, they have to come to Barrow. He's going to appoint the cabinet and go and look at people he appoint in the cabinet. In order to get the vice president, he fell out with Mamburenja and others because of money. It's not because of anything else. Because of he realized that Mambure Njai, what you call it? Mambure Njai, Bailamin Job, I mean, Alaji Conte, not Alaji Conte, Alkali Conte, Musa Drame, they robbed him. And Musa Drame was saved by the Saholo community and some Marabus that came and begged Barrow, and Barrow said, okay, I'll give him chance and stuff like that. Let's put it that way. But now, in order to get their candidate, what they did as intelligence guys, they make a profile and said to Barrow, this is the profile that fits. You have to get this profile. Because of what? The challenges we are going to face. Especially, we didn't get our desired results in the parliamentary elections. We are going to face tougher times. That's the situation report I'm talking about. And they looked at the challenges after COVID, but again, they knew the economic mismanagement they did by using the state resources or borrowing on the state sovereign funds in order to implement projects that are not implemented. Hakalang and every other rules, or if they're implemented not to the desired inflated projects. They make millions. This is all what Barrow later find out. The OIC projects, they make millions out of it more than Barrow. Banyun project, they make millions out of Barrow. This is what he realized. Now, they know all these things are going to, they cannot borrow more, the international will not be giving them more. I mean, things are going to be difficult by, I mean, these things, and then Ukraine came and on others. That's why they based on their analysis. And they said to Barrow, oh, you try and, there were many candidates Barrow was thinking of. You know, the present Ministry of Trade don't have a minister. The person, I'm not going to name the person, the person to go to the Ministry of Trade, unless they change later, it's a woman, presently working at ECOWAS. Now, that woman who was one of the candidates to be a vice president. And again, he's got a nepotism, personal relationship with Barrow. It's not tribal. Yes, she's from the Sarahole tribe. She was one of the candidates. Barrow's own niece, who is now the Minister of Environment, was a candidate. And I have witnesses that I have shared the list. I have witnesses that I have shared the cabinet list, and as they change, I was giving it to them. Mr. MLCC would be my witness. To the day before, an hour before Badara was appointed, that's when I got Badara's name, and I share it to this. I said, watch out. And I am in a groups that I have said, no, the person you pointing at is not going to be. And actually, the person is present in cabinet and is a male. That's why Sankari came to pretend, or I don't know, I've not even seen this. There's the slide. They walk out the vice president, and this is what they did. When they did the analysis, they said to Barrow, now, because of the challenging times we're going to get, you have to make sure you have a person who is not ambitious to become a president, politically who is not connected politically, doesn't have the connections politically to be a president. That rule out certain people. If you understand what Gambian concept is, or who got the political capital, what that means. Two, say to you, oh, you have to get a person who doesn't have links to Senegal. You see, they try to make Barrow believe that Senegal will go against Barrow interests, which is partly true. Senegal, they don't love Barrow. They're going to off their strategic interest. If someone manages to maneuver situation, Senegal would accept. Go and ask. But they make him to believe that you have to make sure so that person doesn't have that links to this thing and doesn't have that political clout internationally. But that person have to be effective. That have to impass him so that he will step in to take the brunt for you, so that he step into able to represent you eloquently in the international scenes and others. And you look at that profile. Let me tell you why they said someone who is not politically connected. They said to Barrow, the situation can get deteriorate. The economic situation can deteriorate with all the challenges coming from outside, and the situation we are now, our finances are not good, and things are not, the things we expected to work are not working. The IOC is not likely to happen. Roads, the roads we plan and everything are not going to add value to the economy or anything. But we are going to be paying these loans. There might be social unrest. And if there's social unrest, if it gets to a certain level, the economy cannot deal with this because they cannot be seen as taking on the people. And I reference this. And they reference this. When they reference this in their intel, I saw the docket. I saw the docket. When I reference this in the intel, they reference Mali. They said, oh, you see Mali? Mali was, the operation Mali was led by Diko, a Muslim cleric. And nothing could have been done. Because you cannot be seen, economy cannot be seen as going after Gambian citizens. And if the army gets involved, might be something else. One, they said again, the reason you should be careful that if that situation arises, they said that that vice president might, if he is politically ambitious and have the political reach, might easily get you out. Because he is to benefit so that the constitution will continue, and he will act for 3 months and try to sustain himself. One. Two, they said to him, the reason you should be careful that you don't get someone very popular with Senegal or close to Senegal. And I'll tell you, Badara is, they lie, but they know Badara's background, they know Badara's contacts, and they are part of the cabal. So Sankare and others, and they coped in Ibrahim Silla and others. That's what they are. That's why I say it's not tribal. It might look tribal from the outside, because probably one tribe is dominating, but it's nepotism. Some people are reporting that the vice president is an uncle to Sankare. If it's not an uncle to, they are very closely related, to the extent of Sankare named him after a child after him before even come to cabinet. They tell you you can now decode these things. And we have the environmental minister being niece of Barrow, who could have been a vice president. Barrow dare to try that. And we have the position of trade reserved for someone else close to Barrow, reserved. And others, if you know the relationship with others, you can see that. Apart from the AP, the others are from the APRC. Nobin Job, lobbying is from the APRC, is from Seoul. Abba Sane or whatever is lobbying from Seoul. Seoul appointed these people. The justice minister is from Seoul. We can go on. These are the people. Yes, these are all APRC guys. Now, when they say that, they say if he's close to Senegal, then if tensions rises, and Senegal will look at it to say that, look, in order to deal with the Sifle, let's just extract Barrow. Airlift Barrow, extract him, and leave the constitution to run, and we can continue, our state capture will continue and go for this vice president. You see, now what they did, that they alienated the candidates. And one of those candidates was, what do you call it? The lady at the Gambia High Commission now, Bom Bensouda, another APRC, was one of the candidates, Bom Bensouda. She was already designated for United Kingdom, but after they went into the lobby for vice president position. The Minister of Education, lower basic education, I forgot the lady's name, was on the shortlist. She was lobbied by, I know, a group. Interest group, or they turn around to say that she's not eloquent. She cannot she doesn't have what it takes to deal with the challenges. You see, that's why Badr came out trying to prove himself and actually just dug a hole for himself. Now he's buried in that hole. He's worse than Barrow for that matter. Now, this is the situation. Now that's how they managed to get the cabinet and everything else. You know, they have moved. I am waiting to find out, in fact, who is the deputy. Because of this information, made me to think about who is the deputy SISDG and look out for the person to become a deputy SISDG. They took out the deputy SISDG, Mr. Jabate. Obviously, Jabate was not fitting in the mold. And they gave Jobate a job that Jobate would not resist, or Jobate would not go out to make noise. You know what job it is? To represent the Gambia in Belgium, in Brussels. Jobate does not have what it takes. Jobate came from law enforcement background, which he doesn't really even have the experience even to be the position he's been, because he was lobbied. He was a friend of my party, and my party lobbied that for him. Yeah, Claudia Cole. Now, they got that Jobate did one of those degrees in sociology, not sociology, criminology degree in America, came here and do one of those masters, you know, those cotton paste, and run to Gambia and become an immigration officer, and next minute something else, run back to here, fall out the Gambia, and my father become into run down there, he end up becoming deputy SIS. He doesn't have anything to it. But no, but to shut him up, a representative of Brussels, they got Teneng Jaite out. At least a minimum degree in economics, but the experience, administration and everything else that you need. But they don't care. Now, watch out who they're going to put as the deputy IG, deputy SISDG. Because they are building up things. Now they took this the person, the accountant general out, something bad. It's part of the cabal to be United States ambassador, Gambian ambassador in the United States. It's just crazy. The guy doesn't have anything, diplomacy or any experience, never lived in the US, never worked in international community, doesn't have what it takes, regardless of what qualifications they have in accounting. It's not an accounting job. I mean, they did that. Now, it continued. Now they've come, and they are going to take over. I mean, it's continued. But you look at it. The Ports Authority, go and look at civil aviation, go and look at this, I mean, the GRA and others untouched. And there's a reason, and we're going to deal with that on other days. Now, they have realized that tensions are going to rise. Tensions are going to rise in the country. It's not that because people want to create tension, because people will be frustrated. And what happens in Freetown and everywhere else, what happened in Sri Lanka, is likely to happen everywhere in West Africa. I saw a dump report from one of those so-called international organizations saying, oh, Gambia and Mauritania will be safest countries to this. Where do they look? You see, this is what happens if you sit outside there, they know anything about us and want to define us, and they want to tell you our stories. But for us who were trained to understand, to able to put together, to tell you what happened in Liberia in late 70s, how was it affecting Gambia when the Moja started in Liberia or got hold in Liberia, when Amos Sawyer and Dr. All these people started these movements, and when it came to Gambia, and where they tell you the the Cold War and other geopolitical things, we can analyze that. We knew, I didn't know then, but from my training, I understand all this, how it correlates to become the 81 coup in the Gambia. If you understand the rice riot in Liberia then, and what was happening in the Gambia, 1981 coup. If you understand the 1994 coup, from what happened in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and also others, and you find it here. And someone should just sit down and look at some stats and tell you, oh, Gambia is safest and Mauritania is safest. Based on what? Nothing. I'll tell you, we are not safe. And it's not that we are not safe from outside elements, we are not safe because of our country is not governed, and the level of corruption, incompetency, it's not sustainable. That's what it is. The threat is not individuals, the threat is the government. The government is posing as our greatest national security threat. Look at everything that goes around us. What have they managed? Look at, they try to cover up this by, the construction, Banyan Road projects. How they reacted in dealing with the Jabang issue, demolishing, and now they're retracting. How many other things? How the tourism. Look at the tourism sector. Look at the blunder they did to us again. I'm going to touch all this separately. I'm just pointing at them. You think what's going to happen in terrorism? What is happening in this rainy season? Do we understand that? The monsoon floods in Pakistan and Bangladesh and other areas. Do you know that their crops, you think they're going to take their stockpile and sell it the coming year? No. The drought in China, do we think about what impact it's going to have on prices? And the mismanagement of the economy. Now they're trying to tell you that they are subsidizing the fuel. When they deal with their cabal to system, because they cannot afford to reduce the prices are affected because of the tax. It's because of tax. It's not because of world market. World market prices are going down. Other countries are reflecting on that and reducing price. Gambia cannot afford to do it. They say, oh, we are not raising the price. No, they should be reducing the price. But you have newspapers turn around to tell you, oh, Gambia are not putting up prices. Prices are going down in the pumps because world market prices are going down. The tax is the problem, but they cannot raise the revenue. Business is not working. They cannot raise the revenue that needed to sustain, and the way they're spending. We see the padam corruption, and every corruption will continue going. But we'll keep on blaming the police officers for being at traffic begging. You think grown-up men would want to stay at traffic to beg? You think they want to? We blame the students for failing when their teachers go to school without breakfast or leaving something at their house, or they cannot even afford to pay their rent. You think that person is with the capacity to teach your children? Let's go on. We can look at many indicators. But no, what they do is turn it around to us. Oh, it's about tribe. Oh, it's about this. It's about that. It's about religions. It's a lie. It's about corruption. It's about incompetence. It's about the state capture of criminals serving the strategic interest of Senegal. We'll get to that. Now, that's been the situation. They read the situation. Now, they are looking at a calendar. Where did this come on? Let me just come. I said I'm going to keep this brief because I'm so busy. I have to keep it brief. Let me look. I've shared it with someone there. I think here. That's my brother here. Let me read from what, because I got it from the Standard. I got it from the Standard. What's the Standard put out there? I'm going to read from the Standard and give you my analysis on what they mean. This article written by on the Standard by Mr. Omarba. Now, ask yourself, when did the last SIS came out with something like this? And what brought out terrorism in our midst? Why terrorism? Why terrorism? Just think about that now. Why terrorism? They wake up in the morning, Monday morning, oh, terrorism. Terrorism. Do we have to think about that? Now they have started, and if you follow, you know Senegal, that's what they do. They're following that. Now they're trying to get a boogeyman, and Gambians will think of that boogeyman, and now they're going to pick up people based on this boogeyman for terrorism. Let's continue here. The Director of Counter-Terrorism and Legal Affairs at the State Intelligence Services, he's very powerful. That tells you how busy they are. The person in charge of counter-terrorism is Legal Affairs. My God. Yeah, Legal Affairs, sorry, SIS. Said his office have placed some individuals in the Gambia on a white list of potential terrorist financiers. They put people on a white list of potential terrorist financiers. Why is he telling us this? Do we need to know this now? Have we any incident that they dealt with? In even America, when they report things, it's determined by the situation. They gauge the situation and look at it. Okay, we need a communication strategy out here. We need to reassure people. We need to this, and we need to do that. Or we need to try to get this out in order to get a reaction and to do this. That's what they do. I'll tell you, this is completely bogus. It's not it. They are not looking for where they're looking at. I'll tell you what. I live in the Gambia. I live in the UK here. I've not traveled to Gambia for 7 good years. I can tell you from my expertise and what I can see. We know of Russians, money laundering, involved in money laundering. We know of businesses run, hotels run by financiers from Russian background. And these people are doing what? They are stealing money from other people. You know, we go on our, because we hate ourselves, we go on to the Nigerians. Or Nigerian 419, no. Yes, there are Nigerian 419 operating everywhere. But I'll tell you, the Russians are dealing and using Gambian businesses, Gambian business people, and so-called Gambian influencers to launder money into the Gambia, to buy properties. Why do you think some of these properties are inflated? Or to build hotels that would be exchanging hands to what you mean money laundering? I can tell you that if I was at the authority, there are suspicions. There are suspicions, reported activities that are very suspicious of money laundering. And the SIS should have known that. You think they would know that? No, because those people are part of the cabal. They're part of the cabal. I'll tell you one thing. There are North Koreans, through North Korean contacts, to other nationals, Nigerians, North Korean contacts to Nigerians, because the North Koreans harvest the information and pass the information, sell the information to Nigerians. Nigerians go and do the deed and to get the money. And you know why Gambia, you don't see, Gambia is not attracted, not because, you know, when law enforcement in these countries deal with this issue, they go for the billions, millions, before they go to 1,000, this thing. That's what is happening in Gambia, but gradually it builds up something. That's why some of them are not fine. We have no law of audit. We know Senegalese dealing with the same channels and coming to Gambia to do those investments. Money laundering. Did you ever hear anything being arrested? No. Now, we know of the proof, the drug cartel. The drug cartel that we reported many times, not the Hezbollah moved to Turkey. Now they operate from Turkey. No more from Lebanon, from Turkey. And all the fines, be in Guinea-Conakry, Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, and the Gambia, are linked to the same group that are dealing with South Americans to bring this drug and money laundering and everything else. They are dealing with. We've seen the evidence. How many this thing? Where is the banter this thing? We know of different groups. Did they talk about this? Have they ever talked about putting them on watchlist? Why do they turn around to say terrorists? Yes, I know some of these people do end up. But I'll tell you, if I know some of these Hezbollah, this thing, but they are not looking at that. They would have when the Denton Bridge. Remember the cocaine find at the link to the boat that was present at the Denton Bridge. With the case is in Senegal, and I'll tell you, go and find out all the people involved in that were Turkish origin or Lebanese origin base. I'm not saying Gambian, Lebanese. We have to be very careful with that. I'm saying about Lebanese citizens that are based in Turkey, use Turkey as a base and operating, and we know the Gambians contacts they have. They know the Gambian contacts. Do you ever hear them? You know, when we see the banking system, go and look at the banking system. When people are receiving $1 million in their private accounts, didn't we hear that in the Gambia Petroleum case? $1 million being received by a young lady? Didn't we hear almost $1 million being transferred to a Gambian personal account outside who resident in Turkey? You know, these things are going on because they will not track them, because these people are political, they sponsor them politically and they are part of them. Where is Silaba Samate? To the extent of known drug dealer, I'm not saying it. He came out online here during the struggle and explained everything, the tangling of how he was involved with Jame and others in drugs, how he involved in all these dodgy things, to the extent of sitting on a podium with the president, to the extent of being given medals to hang on soldiers. That's how they enable. We have seen this, the crisis in our central bank. Now the central bank governor said that we are not going to answer anything. But they have not still dealt with the one, the alleged money things. But we have seen the circulation of dodgy, money that we cannot understand. Why didn't they deal with all this? Nothing ever. But they turned out to tell you terrorism. Let's move on. Let's move on to that. They continue to say the West African region have experienced a devastating surge in terrorist attacks against civilians and military targets over the years. However, the Gambia have not experienced any case of terrorism-related crimes, but Director Modou Lamine Diallo said the country is soft target because its financial market is largely unregulated. Which is a fact. Which is a fact, but it's interesting. It's interesting. You know, if you understand, people who understand how this looks, again, unfortunately, I'm going to use the word Islamist, operates, go and find out how it happened. If you understand the history of Pakistan being independent as a Muslim country, whatever it is, go and find out how Lahore and Islamabad and all those places were before the Red Mosque came in, and the fallout from what happened in Afghanistan, jihadists, the CIA using them, and everything else. Now, if you understand that, you have to understand Sudan. You have to understand the struggle in Sudan and how the Islamists take over Sudan. And one day again, we're going to explain the Islamization project that Yahya Jammeh started and Barrow try to revive for money. And who was head of that? SIS DG. But what we did in order to stop them on track, that I'm gonna explain that. Probably not now, but future. Explain how we stop them on track. Now, if you understand all this, yes, finance is in there. But you look at Gambia itself. Do they tell you about the problems? Because if you understand all that, how much so-called Islamic charities we have, that we have, you can just come in and operate an orphanage. Do we know what goes in those orphanages? Do we know what they educate, indoctrinate these youths? How many movements are everywhere else? Do they have tap on this? Do they have anything, policy guideline to tell government these should be policy guidelines to this note? We have seen many activities going on which should make us scared. Yes, I agree. We are soft target and there's a reason for this thing. But to turn around just to point at financing is very convenient. It's very convenient. And even time of Jammeh, there were reports of some Somalis operating, and I think one of the reports I've seen that there was a person who, in fact, after left the Gambia because he was mentioned, he was part of a financial network and operating at backwater somewhere around there in business and so on. And he was, I think not England, he moved from one of the European countries and moved to the Gambia with his family, and apparently he was part of the Al-Shabaab this thing. And when, obviously, he was sussed, and this was one international, report, not even Gambia. Gambia did not detect that, he had to leave the Gambia. All these things are possible. Okay, and saying that we are soft target for financial transactions, we cannot, even if we strengthen our financial things, they will still operate. What we think about, if what they're doing, would we become a target, and then if we are going to be a target, being a soft target because of terrorism and other things, what should we do about that? But we just don't come out to say that, oh, because of financial issue will be target. That tells you that they have not. Everything about this financial thing or target or listed are Gambians. They are looking at Gambians. They are looking at potentially Gambians they can label. They are anticipating that, or there might be on uprising. They are anticipating there will be on unrest because they know that it's not that people will want to do an unrest, but people will be tired. They've bankrupted everything in the country. They took loans outside the books. Mambure did that just as we did with Yahya Jammeh, to sponsor political projects, but to sponsor themselves, in fact. Now let's continue. They continue to say, however, he said his agency knows who in the Gambia is financing terrorism or involved in terrorism activity outside. I did not say that. They said, however, he said his agency knows who in the Gambia is financing terrorism or involved in terrorist activities outside. Now, why not send the law enforcement to arrest them, to prosecute them? They say they know it, but listen to the contradiction. They say they know it. Listen to the contradiction. Oh, we have a watch list of individuals we are monitoring very closely, so we know their ins and outs. It is not out of order for an intelligence services to have a watch list of individuals of interest and place them under surveillance. He said that, right? But in order to come out and say that, you name them. These are the people we're watching, and they are not even in the country. If you are watching them, you don't come out and tell us. You don't come out and tell us that you're doing that. But Americans come out to say that this Hezbollah guy is blacklisted, just as they used to do. And any country that deals with them, or any person, that person is, blacklisted, that person blacklisted. What does this do? Is to mark them. You are marking them so that it can easily be traced and their finances and movement can be traced. But if you say that you are putting them under surveillance, you don't come out and say, I am putting them under surveillance. Do you want to, unless your motive is to drive them out, for them to get up and leave. But you know that if you made them get up and leave without getting to the root cause or to their networks, what they do, they replace that person. They just move them and replace that person. Then your strategy is not effective. Then it's either or it's a lie. They're not watching anybody. Those people to watch, they are right in their eyes. Go. I've not been to Gambia 7 years, but I can tell you hangouts, not hideouts. Anyways, they hang in the open. They hang in the open. When they were operating with the cocaine. The 3 tons of cocaine, they were in the Gambia, roaming around. When they were dealing with the tons of cocaine from Denton Bridge and so on, they were in the Gambia, renting places and going places. Some of them are in relationship with our sisters. Some of them bought houses in the name of our sisters. We know that. We know that. And one of those was in competition with the Senegalese State Guard commander. Yes, a South American. We know that. We don't come out, sit down here to talk about private business, but they know it. Let's continue. They said that, and he said there might not be any concrete evidence linked these individuals to terrorism or terrorist financing, but that his agency will continue to monitor. He said in the first instance, what he said in previous paragraph, that however, he said the agency knows who in the Gambia is financing terrorism or involved in terrorist activities outside. Then he turned around to say, he said there might not be any concrete evidence linking the individuals to terrorism or terrorist finances, but that his agency will continue to monitor. What I forget to add is, go and find out real estate so-called tycoons that have been flagged in America for their financial transaction. Money transfer, so-called, or investors in the Gambia, Gambians, I'm telling you, not even talking about the foreigners, that have been flagged here and their accounts closed in the country here because they cannot account for. And some of those people, we know that the financial intelligence in these countries have a good result because they know the economy of the Gambia and how it works out. And I give you another example. And let me do that after finishing this. They continue to say, we don't have we don't have incidents of terrorism yet, but it is highly likely that we are unwittingly helping in the funding of terrorist activities outside the country. Because if I work for a terrorist organization, let's say ISIL in Mali, and I operate a forex bureau here, and I launder the funds and transfer them to Mali for the purpose of recruitment or buying weapons, I am indirectly funding terrorism, he said. Now, what do? Don't they give clearance to people who operate forex or license and other things? Why can't, I mean, it's just fishing. They're just fishing. And they are putting this thing for an excuse to pound on Gambians. That's what they're doing, or people they perceive as opponent to the government. This is what they're trying to do. Now, I'll give you an example. As we said of the terrorist threat, I have written a document, and that document, the reason we wrote, I authored it, and obviously other people have their decision. We wrote that thing was, that report is to able to advise government in policy areas. But did they even look at it? No. They don't, and there's a threat. Because we don't think that we insulated, we are Senegal. No. These people operate in many ways. They operate in many ways. And, the priorities might change, or government might take positions, anything. And you see, I don't want to get into details of why or how things happen. But I'll tell you what is happening in how it gets to other countries, it might get to us like that. I completely agree with that. But what they're doing here is not helpful. And I tell you the reason they're doing this is to try to get to people they deceive, because they know that they have messed up. And people are likely and bound to show outrage, and that's what they're planning to do. And he continued to say, he said there could also be possibility of individuals who cross over into the country from countries affected by terrorist activities. Jallo said the SIS working closely with other security services like the police, drug law enforcement agencies, and Department of Immigration to ensure they detect, monitor individuals suspected of involvement in terrorism activity. We need the banks and the microfinance agency to be feeling suspicious financial transaction, because speaking from a security point of view, as scared as it is, we cannot get rid of terrorism. We just try to control it because it is very complex transnational crime that is embedded in many other crimes activities, and finance is just one of those ways to do this. Again, what he's saying here is something to be done. Go and do that. We know that there's no financial monitoring in the country. We know that for a fact. It has come out through the courts that a person can have 1 million deposited in their account, private account. And Kajetukere transferring money to his father's private account. His father is based where in Turkey. If that is happening, and we know of others, the Babakar Cham, not Babakar Cham, Ablai Cham, the so-called their Radisson Blue Hotel. Babakar Cham right now should be under investigation because he unwittingly reported a partner that scammed him. Actually, what it exposed is this man might be, I'm not saying the partner is involved, but the partner received, because we are in a relationship, you give money, I don't know where it comes from. You present yourself as a respectful businessman. You present yourself with government, seeing the ministers, seeing you do it with the government, and portraying that you are coming to invest. That person can never think of anything. But it has to come out that he was transferring money into private accounts. Large sums of money that should not be transferred to private accounts. They can be transferred to business accounts. Why is he doing that? And what they call that? Structuring. He's structuring. Because if you put in 1 million, it might be flat from that end. What you do, 50, 100, 30, 40, 50, 100 to get that 200 million. We know all these tricks. But they are not doing that. Let's continue what they said. He said the financial institutions and real estate agencies play a crucial role in terrorist financing. We know that. It's happening right now. Hotels have been built. Estates have been built. Part of the money, I'm not saying all, is this financial crime. Continue. We know it's because we are in the field and see happening around. Every day I go to bed thinking there is going to be a bomb somewhere. This, my God, why would this person come out? You see, they are trying to this. Allah knows I've not read the entire this thing. Right now, I just read the top bit. I'm just right now reading these things, and it's just exploding. Going to bed thinking of bombs. And this is when terrorism is about to open. Tells you how smart our SIS is. Tells you how smart our government is. And this is the person responsible for counterintelligence. Counter-espionage. This is the person responsible for legal affairs. Have to come to say that you go to bed thinking of a bomb exploding. Imagine a British, they already done their British advice that is killing the British, or that they don't want grannies. Now they're telling us, no, not only we don't want grannies, we're telling you that we're not safe. Bombs might be exploding in the country. Can you just believe that? I would not, you see, if I had read this, and someone said it, I might have said, nah, no, you're pulling it fast, man. I mean, that's what, these are the people we have running our country. Security. But this is serious. It's not a laughing matter. Let's continue. Bomb somewhere. This is not to scare you, but it's just what we see around. We see the banking sector and the forex bureaus being used. You will agree with me that there is a forex bureau at every street. Johnson, you have people walking around with cash in their bags. He again. This is serious. This is like someone sitting down. I'm not saying a responsible person, because even your friends, I tell you, I have been an operative for years till I finish. Even my partners don't know what I do. My closest friend never just knew when I came out with it. After something, some of them, the penny dropped in some of my activities or how I was moving about things. But sitting down with your friend and just chatting, I'm talking about, you're not responsible, you're chatting, bro, they can be normal, it's possible, money exchange you bari, they talk about boy halad, boy, they tell us the halad, the boy bomb dinner. That's what you think of. This is not someone responsible coming telling you this is what I'm thinking. Oh, I'm not trying to scare you, but this is this bad. Why don't you tell your government to do something about it? Why can you tell your government to do something about it? You are scaring the tourists. You are scaring genuine investors. You are attracting cowboy operators. You are telling them it's easy to operate forex. You are easy to move money in bags and everywhere. It's easy to run real estate. It's easy to do this. But the genuine person, peace-loving person, oh, Gambia. Oh, this is not Ben Suare on saying it. This is not this person. This is the head of counterintelligence. This is the legal advisor of the SIS. If you hear incompetency, this is what it is. He moved on to say, he explained that the local forex bureaus operators might not even know they are being used as condor for terrorism finances. What does the SIS do as an outreach to educate, mechanisms to put in place, measures to take to avert and make sure these people have nothing? You can walk in and do anything you want in the country. It's not for him to come and bring these things out just as the vice president, criticize and sit down. I know he goes to bed sleeping like this and thinking that his secure economic is in the country. Let's move on. Director Jallo said in the Gambia, there are a bunch of youths that are highly radicalized to accept terrorism activities, and SIS is concerned because terrorism are just what they are. They are more sophisticated and wealthier. Now they are also in cryptocurrency. You are telling us this problem. We know that. Any sophisticated person will know that. Any landed person will know that. But What are the policies the government do to take these people out of radicalization? What are the policies the government do to educate the citizen? What are the policies the government do to create jobs? No, you are in fact, you close Julbro, jobs gone. And not only the jobs in Julbro, the stimulus that Julbro does to the hotel industry. You know, they don't understand the stimulus Julbro does. Hoteliers, they don't make money from tax of bedroom. They don't make money. It goes mainly, that money stays with the tour operators. You know, when they run their restaurants, they sell the drinks. These are the drinks, give them better margin, profit margin. It keeps jobs and other things. But now we let that Julbro go down for Senegal. Now we import from Senegal. Now we are spending money, foreign currency. That's why the CFA is killing us. Dollars is depreciating because of the balance of trade deficit we created. Just in Julbro, vegetables and everything else, we have to go and do that because we are not investing in productive industries. We are not investing in the youth. We are not investing in education. He's talking about cryptocurrency. We are not using we don't build the infrastructure, telecoms infrastructure that will have make it possible for Gambians to use youths to come out, to use their talent and everything else, to make something out of it. But no, they will come out and with all this. This is just serious. He said the SIS Director General operates an open door policy and is open to working closely with the banks to fight money laundering, especially at the relating to terrorism finances. It's not an open door policy. You have a mandate, and the banks have a mandate to operate. It's not the banks to walk in to tell you. They have to abide by banking rules and regulations if you enforce them. But how can you enforce them? Where the institutional heads and everything are corrupt because of their corruption, their money laundering themselves, taking government funds and operating. They don't want. You think they want to take on the banks? But the banks would get out and go for them. The banks is conducive environment for corruption. That's what they created. I will come to that. I'll come to explain the government banking. He said the SIS Director General, Director Jallo, was speaking at the workshop on Friday, organized by the Banking Association for Bankers and Government Law Enforcement Agencies. I rest my case. Now, let me explain this. What he's talking about here about banking and everything. During this struggle, one of the things I detected, and I invested in it, was that we have been neglected. The Gambian struggle has been neglected. Now we have to find something to leverage, to bring to the attention of the, and you'll be surprised thinking that, no, yeah, what Ben is doing, or the international knows everything that goes in the Gambia is a lie. It's a lie. And that's the reason that we knew, in fact, that's the reason that, in fact, inspired us to even walk deeper to get some of these things out. Because what happens is, when we highlighted some of these things, questions were asked. Now the international was interested. And in fact, they got certain things, they want to verify them. And we are consulted to verify. Because yeah, they might have their different devices or representatives in the country and everything. But some of these things we have to. Okay, now, this is what happened. Look at the Gambian economy and look at the banks, how do you talk, sit down, I mean, just a minute, we'll have all these banks operate. Let me give you one example of this. When we looked at trafficking, we have to bring it to the attention of law enforcement agencies in international, of the drug trafficking role Gambia was playing. Jammeh for that matter. Because this is the attention we wanted. Jammeh was very smart in the way he does things. And I flew into Dakar. I met, because someone invited me, an interest group, and I went and sat with them, and they put their deal on the table. And in order to infiltrate them to get it, I said, I want to see the evidence. I was pointed to travel to Gambia, to meet people in the Gambia, then to see the evidence before I involve myself or these things. That what I told them that involved myself. I never. Then I went, I met our son, and I was told times to look at this, the airport, to monitor the airport, see how many small planes, to monitor certain areas in the coast, how many small planes fly about, and other things that happen. To take me certain estates in the country, to show me properties and other things that goes around those properties, and how they have contacts with law enforcement and directly to Gambia, and some of these Angolans and or every other thing. And you know, when the SIS DG came to the TRRC, the file touched on it, but that file could not elaborate because obviously he doesn't have the institutional understanding of what was happening. Went back to Senegal, and they make it very clear, and got all that. That was a leverage for us. And then we exchange. That exchange led the Americans to get to Bubu, General Bubu Nacho. Then obviously they put a sting operation for Bubu Nacho. General Bubu, because the role General Bubu was playing there and other Gambia, and after he went back to Bissau, they got him and they got General Bubu. Now, when they got General Bubu, they got proof of intelligence, because General Bubu went to America. And just imagine if General Bubu was arrested for all that this was alleged to be involved in, and the Americans got the listening devices and everything, but he made a plea bargain. And when he testified, obviously what he plea bargain, what he told the Americans was not revealed to the court, but probably the judge would know that he complied and gave them enough evidence. General Bubu was technically let go. Time served, go back to Guinea-Bissau. For America to do that, you would have given them sufficient evidence on Jammeh and the cartels. And that they do. And that brought the crackdown on a lot of areas. Jammeh become paranoid. That's one reason. I'm not going to get into the paranoid of Jammeh and other things that affected. But I'll give you an example. Now, when General Bubu told them certain things, they contacted us back to verify and how to get to this. It happens, Ben Jammeh, Jammeh's cousin, delayed, fell out with Jammeh and went to Senegal. Then we approached a friend of Ben, a classmate of Ben, to reach out to Ben. Because Ben was ill and was looking for asylum. But he could not get asylum because of his background with Jammeh. Now, in order to get that, he was to speak to this, law enforcement agencies to verify what they wanted to verify from us. We said, look, the best person to do it now is that. Dangle something on him. Ben decided not to give them much, but what Ben gave them was the financier. And little that Ben gave them, Jammeh gave them financial this thing. Then this law enforcement try to get some Gambians now still in the system to cooperate, because we identify them, to cooperate behind the scenes. They refuse. There are two former ministers were invited of Jawara to verify certain things. What was the situation and the situation now on others, because it was so involved. Trust Bank and all of these banks were kind of involved in many things. That's how it happened. And that's why now still, that's an indictment, and Jammeh is not free. That's why people thinking of Jammeh freedom don't understand how much Jammeh was involved in other things. Not only drugs, but other armed trade and all the things. And it's a matter of time they will get to him. If we Gambians were serious, we'll get to them. That's why I said that the banking industry in Gambia, be the forex, be everything else, is completely compromised with money laundering and others. The Gambia, we don't have the economy to have 11 commercial banks, I think, or very close to 11 commercial banks. How do they sustain this? It's through corruption, what deals they got from government and other institutions and money laundering. How comes we are having people building hotels, and our tourist intake is not growing? Yeah, because it's easy money for them to build and later on to exchange hands. How comes we are building hotels, estates? How many Gambians? can afford, I mean, a property of 200,000, 300 something thousand. This is the prices you have in second cities in the United Kingdom. I mean, why do you think that money is flowing? Do you know how many people own many properties in the Gambia today? I am not talking about genuine people working hard and happen to excel their profession and make money or be a good business people. I'm not talking about them, but I'll tell you that we know of many people that are doing what? It's just laundering this money. This is what the problem you have. But Gambia, again, what I'm saying is this. To cut it is, SIS, what they're doing is they're preparing themselves. All the statements they're going to give in workshops and everything else is crap. That this statement could have been handled very professionally and explain some of these things, but you don't go on thinking about going to bed, thinking of a bomb exploding and stuff like that. It's reckless. And saying that you have a white list, 1 minute, I have a white list. Oh no, but I'm not even sure whether they are these things. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. We have to be very careful. We're just careful. And Gambia, we are getting to that. It's inevitable now. We decided that's how we engage. But I'll tell you, if we are continuing to be partisan, if we are continuing to be tribal, or accepting or chewing this bait, they're putting down for us to see things in tribal lines. That's what they want. That's their strategy. If any group gets up meaningfully to use their democratic things, they will listen. It's going to happen. Rather organize, hold the government accountable until elections come in. But to say that, oh, the Gambia will continue to exist this way, let's sit down and watch. I'll tell you, I mean, what all of say, that's where we are going. There's nothing work in the country and nothing will work. Because when you think that, okay, this is an opportunity to put the right people in place, no, they bring their own people again. I mean, your Minister of Energy have just okay, how many $1 million of contract to Alaji Conte. The same Alaji Conte that was in UDP. You see, that's why I told UDP to be careful. Now he went to Barrow, now he got a contract. The same Barrow that froze Alaji Conte's account, now giving Alaji Conte a presidential directive. Alaji Conte bid for these contracts. He was not capable of delivering. That's what they did. They said that the Gambia government writing to institutions to say that this is what we want. And that's why I keep on telling Gambia, if you think that the IMF and World Bank is going to save you, you're kidding yourself. Because of the IMF, World Bank don't want China to look, I'm not supportive of China, but the competition, they are allowing Gambia government to take loans or do certain things in order to block China. They don't care. Just as China is milking us, they are milking us. And we will be debted, and our policies and everything will be determined by them. That's where we are. If we are not careful, the unrest is inevitable. It's inevitable. Not that the people want to bring out unrest, but because of things are going to get worse. Are not going to get better, because to get better, you have to put the right people in and stop all this corruption and this nonsense. Padam hunting and draw your budget to the needs of the people, prioritize for the people. But no, everybody is taking what they can. But they'll turn around to blame. The health minister blaming those people issuing birth certificate for taking money. When you, the health minister, have been taking money with all these COVID funds, and you think these people will be starving, not doing. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's right. But you expect people to go home, not have access to make money. Look, how many people would do that? This is the situation we have. And guys, it's been longer than I wanted to stay. I didn't even realize I've gone over the 1 hour mark. But as I said, please follow the Open Gambia, because I mean we are at the stage. We are preparing the platform better to be more effective, to bring to have this dialogue, national dialogue on issues, and follow, like, and share so that we will be able to have this conversation. Soon things will be rolling. I mean, most of the work behind the scenes has been done. and content are created and will be created to meet the desires of the people that would really bring about the change. As I said, we are going to talk about a lot. We are going to name names. We are going to bring out things that we have left behind before. Need to know basis now. We believe Gambians need to see the details. We have used those details behind the scenes before. We have tried to reach out to government to point out to this threat it posed to national security, but we just realized they don't care. Thank you very much, guys, and have a good afternoon.